Remember when Zsa Zsa Gabor married Hilton Hotel founder and Paris Hilton's great-grandfather, Conrad Hilton? I do. Before we get into this one, there are going to be mentions of abuse, so if that's something that you can't handle right now, I totally understand, and I will see you in the next one. By December 1941, Zsa Zsa was firmly embedded into the Hollywood way of life. She was dyeing her blonde hair red and had approximately 3 dates with Charlie Chaplin, mostly at theme parks. But that December, while having dinner at Ciro's, a 6'2" man who exuded power strode into the restaurant. Zsa Zsa said he made her feel dizzy. Conrad Nicholson Hilton was born on Christmas Day, 1887. His father had been born in Norway and his mother was of German descent, yet he told Zsa Zsa he couldn't speak Hungarian, so he was going to call her Georgia. This should have been the first red flag for the young, aspiring actress. Conrad had purchased his first hotel in Cisco, Texas in 1919. That hotel was so successful he continued to buy up more hotels across Texas throughout the 1920s. He was just starting to expand his empire westward when he met Zsa Zsa. That night as they danced, Conrad offered Zsa Zsa $20,000 to go to Miami with him. She refused his request but was still smitten with him and the way he resembled her father. I don't get paid enough to unpack that. She ignored his tacky tie that was embroidered with pictures of his 3 hotels, and before she could stop herself, she uttered, "I think I'm going to marry you." And marry him she did. On April 10th, 1942, 24-year-old Zsa Zsa married 54-year-old Conrad in his civil service in Santa Fe since their previous divorces didn't allow them to marry in the Catholic Church, something that devastated Conrad. I do have to tell you that in typical Zsa Zsa fashion, she claims in her book that she was 17 when she married Conrad and that he was 61. Chronologically, this doesn't make sense, but it is entertaining. Conrad had been hesitant about marriage at first, but once Zsa Zsa refused to go to bed with him, he was all on board with the idea. The pair spent their wedding night in Chicago, where Conrad was attempting to acquire the Blackstone Hotel. After they consummated their marriage, Zsa Zsa asked her new husband what he was thinking. His answer was, "By golly, I'm thinking of that Blackstone deal." By the time that the pair finally made it to their marital home in Bel Air, Conrad was telling his blushing bride that she'd never seen a house like it. "I certainly hadn't," she said. "I'd never seen such bad taste. My mother and father's mansion was far superior." She believed that Conrad felt like he was taking a poor Hungarian Cinderella and transforming her into a princess. He had never taken the time to find out who she was and where she came from. Zsa Zsa set to work refurbishing every part of her husband's life, from his suits to his secretary, firing the young, busty blonde and implementing a married woman by the name of Olive. She even helped him decide to make one of his best purchases, the Plaza Hotel in New York City. When they first met, Zsa Zsa believed that Conrad was different than other American men who felt like they owned the world. She believed that Conrad belonged to her. But as their marriage progressed, she realized that Conrad very much viewed her as his possession, flying her from one end of the country to another to fulfill his own whims without a thought of hers. On top of that, he insisted that she was only with him for his money, no matter how many times she denied it. It didn't help that when he asked her what kind of car she wanted, she picked a Cadillac after just seeing one that she had liked. Conrad was disappointed in her. It turned out his golf buddies had told him, "I bet that your little Hungarian gold digger will ask for a Cadillac." Yet still, he had her whole heart. So much so that she denied the advances of Howard Hughes and Errol Flynn, which was probably for the best. Eventually, Zsa Zsa's mother gave in and fled Europe. She arrived in New York with nothing but her sable coat, some antique silver, and a $100 bill, which she promptly gave to the porter that helped her offload her bag. Conrad put her up in the plaza and even bought her silver from her, knowing that she wouldn't take a handout. Jolie used that money to open her own successful costume jewelry shop on Madison Avenue. Zsa Zsa's father, however, didn't adjust to American life like his ex-wife. He arrived in New York with Zsa Zsa's sister Magda a few days after Jolie. He ended up going back to Hungary and marrying his secretary. A tale as old as time. As her marriage wore on, Zsa Zsa became even more disenchanted with Conrad, and her luck seemed to be taking the same direction. First, she was robbed at gunpoint, the thief taking all her jewels. Then, while on a trip in Washington, she found out that her home had caught fire. Her dog, Ranger, had perished in the flames. Conrad had been told that his house was on fire while playing a round of golf. He shrugged it off, saying, "I'm insured." Finally, there was Conrad's infidelity, which she discovered while at a party where she saw Conrad sneak into a room with a red velvet door. When she finally opened the door, she found Conrad zipping up his pants and a young girl laying in the bed in the corner. Zsa Zsa said it was due to his Catholic guilt. She later found out that her husband hadn't taken her to a party at all. No, the hostess that had greeted her at the door was a madam. But it was his marriage to Zsa Zsa which stopped him from taking the sacrament, not his extracurriculars with entrepreneurs. obviously. She sunk into a deep depression, and Conrad's solution was to send her to a sanatorium where her friend Hamlin Turner made a sworn affidavit claiming that Zsa Zsa was in shocking physical condition. She'd been brutally assaulted about the face, nose, and body. She'd been given insulin shock treatments tri-weekly, and as a result of the hypodermic injections, she displayed to me 2 large infected areas on both thighs which resisted healing and which were open and festering. After several weeks at the sanatorium, Zsa Zsa rented a house in Bay Shore, Long Island, where she rode horses, and after discovering where she was living, her stepson, Nicky Hilton. Conrad Nicholson Hilton Jr., or Nicky as everyone called him, was only 9 years younger than his stepmother. The pair had feelings for each other, but Zsa Zsa had never acted on them up until that point. She was under the impression that her marriage was over as she lay next to Nicky, but then Conrad sent for her, and she obeyed, as she always did. When she arrived at the Plaza Hotel, she found Conrad with his leg in a cast. Zsa Zsa claimed that they went from having coffee to him forcing himself on her. Their daughter, Francesca Hilton, arrived 9 months later on March 10, 1947. She received a cash settlement in the divorce of 35,000 doll hairs, a little over $500,000 today, and a monthly income of 2,500 doll hairs until she remarried. That would be around 36,000 doll hairs a month today. Now, despite his Catholic guilt, Conrad went on to marry Mary Frances Kelly for the third and final time. And they were still married at the time of his passing on January 3rd, 1979, at the age of 91. Zsa Zsa visited him in the hospital and brought him little Christmas trees. He left hundreds of millions of doll hairs to the Catholic Church, which his kids went to court over. Zsa Zsa said that she hoped that all that money bought Conrad the place that he craved in heaven. 2 down, 7 more to go. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked that one. If you did, please save it and share it with your friends. It really does help spread the good word of the cult. And don't forget to follow me over on the gram and the tube of the U just in case. Good day, and may the cult be with you.